There is no better way to dismantle a personality than to isolate it. The discomforting dilemmas that occur within the period of adolescence to adulthood is a universally resonant concept. J.D. Salinger, author of Catcher in the Rye, creates what has been hailed as the ultimate depiction of teenage angst through his protagonist, Holden Caulfield. Holden tries to resist the change of adolescence to adulthood, because he fears it, this ultimately resulting in his emotional and physical isolation from society. The protagonist's struggles is relevant to a 21st century teenage audience, as reports of loneliness amongst teens continues to increase, even with the wider social connection. Holden gives insight to teenage angst and the struggles of adolescence, the growing awareness of the world and the trials that come with adulthood, all of which modern teenagers can relate to. This is accomplished through the literary techniques of characterization, narrative voice, metaphors, repetition, and language choices. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye is the ultimate depiction of teenage angst, as the protagonist exemplifies the universal concept of resisting change out of fear of the unknown, a notion which teenagers can relate to. The National Center of Biotechnology released a statement in 2018 further supporting this, stating, "Both behavioral and neuroscience data shows that adolescence development is not associated with the fearlessness, but rather the increased activity of threat avoidance system. Essentially, avoidance is the method of resisting change, which in this case is due to adolescence angst. These feelings are common in the transition of adolescence within teenagers of a modern day, thus making Holden an exemplary depiction. A prime example of this turmoil would be when Holden walks through the museum and reflects upon the statues. The best thing, though, is that the museum was everything always. Certain things should stay the way they are. You ought to be able to stick them in one of those big glass cases." Holden is characterized in this passage through the depiction of imagery related to things staying right where they are. This is because he desires to be impervious to change, as he himself is fearful of the transition into adulthood. Although Holden is grieving the loss of a loved one, his core emotions is the fear of the ever-pressing adulthood, and his resistance to growth is a global theme that the 21st teenagers audience can experience as well. This can be seen through the survey of the American Psychological Association that stated teens on average feel more anxiety than adults. 69% of teens felt that anxiety when deciding what to do after school. Another example demonstrates Holden's fear of change is when Phoebe, his sister, questions what he'd like to be in the future. Holden replies, "I have to catch everyone that starts to go over the cliff. I have to come out of somewhere and catch them. I'd be the catcher in the rye." We are introduced for the first time Holden acknowledging openly that his desire to resist change completely, and furthermore stopping others transitioning into adulthood. This is executed through Salinger's use of a metaphor of catching, which refers to Holden wanting to prevent the transition of adolescence for other children, as he himself fears it. Holden's emotional turmoil is relevant to a significant extent to a 21st century audience, as it is also a relatable depiction of the emotional isolation. This tendency is a result of Holden struggling to come to terms with growing up, because he fears rejection from his peers and family. We are introduced to Holden's loneliness in the beginning of the novel, where he stands alone on the hill and says goodbye to his school. "What I was really hanging around for, I was trying to feel some kind of goodbye. When I leave a place, I like to know I'm leaving it." This stark change in the narrative voice is where it is usually disjointed, demonstrates for the first time Holden's honest reflection that he reveals his confusion and not knowing where to find closure due to his emotional isolation. Furthermore, the use of language choices of trying to feel establishes Holden's emotional isolation and detachment from his peers. Holden's search for emotional connection while continuously isolating himself is further demonstrated in the novel when he contemplates calling different people before deciding not to call anyone, because he feels emotionally entangled from them. This is especially prominent in the internal fight whether he should call Jane Gallinger. "I went to the phone booth, I felt like giving someone a buzz, and then I thought of giving Jane a buzz. I ended up not calling anyone." Holden's characterization is established as indecisive and hesitant through the narrative voice. This can be quick, sharp sentences that reflect his thoughts. These traits illustrate the character's internal struggle with loneliness, and that even with his desire to reach out to a childhood friend, he is far too distant to connect to anyone and express his internal struggles. This struggle of isolation and loneliness, and still wanting to connect, eventually leads to nothing happening at all with life within many teenagers. While living in the most connected generation recorded, we are also the most lonely, as evidenced by the Cigna Health Company, who recorded 46% of TUs, or 46% of social media users always feel Especially in social media, we see photos, captured memories, and we want to be a part of it, but we never reach out. Holden has slowly blocked each friend, one after the other. This has resulted in his own almost total isolation, leaving him in a self-destructive mindset. Salinger's novel, Catcher in the Rye, captures the essence of adolescence, the trials and turmoil of transitioning into adulthood. The protagonist, Holden Caulfield, is the ultimate depiction of teenage angst as the character tries to resist change and through his struggles isolates himself both physically and emotionally. It is for these reasons that teenagers of the 21st century can still find the character extremely relatable, as they can also relate to the essence of transitioning into adulthood, which lies in the core of Holden's story, even if their experiences do not exactly mirror his own.
Thank you, Mignon. Good job.